The sky should have killed her first. Not the jungle, not the insects, not the hunger. The sky. Because when an airplane tears apart more than 10,000 feet above the earth, people do not survive. They disappear, swallowed by clouds, by distance, by gravity itself. But on Christmas Eve, 1971, somewhere above the Amazon rainforest, a teenage girl kept falling, and somehow she lived. The storm arrived slowly at first. Dark clouds gathered around the airplane like walls closing in from every direction. Passengers looked out their windows nervously as lightning flickered across the sky. The aircraft shook once, then again. Harder this time. Overhead compartments rattled. People gripped their seats. Flight attendants tried to stay calm, but nature had already made its decision. Inside the cabin sat 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke beside her mother. They had spent Christmas in Peru and were flying home through the Amazon basin. Juliane had grown up around nature. Her parents were scientists who studied the rainforest. She understood how powerful the jungle could be. But tonight, the danger wasn't below them, it was all around them. The turbulence became violent. Rain hammered against the windows. Lightning exploded so close it turned the entire cabin white. Then came the sound, not an engine failure, not a warning alarm, a ripping sound, like the sky itself had torn open. The aircraft dropped suddenly. Passengers screamed. Metal twisted. Luggage flew through the air. Seats ripped loose from the floor. And then lightning struck the plane directly. For one terrifying second, everything vanished into blinding white. Then the airplane began breaking apart in midair. Juliane later remembered hearing her mother's final words, "This is the end." And then silence. No engines. No screaming, no cabin, only wind, violent, freezing wind roaring past her body as she fell through the clouds still strapped to her seat. More than 2 miles above the earth, spinning downward into the storm, alone. The rainforest below stretched endlessly beneath her. An ocean of green, no roads, no cities, no rescue waiting below, only jungle. Then darkness swallowed everything. Her collarbone was injured. One eye was swollen nearly shut. Her legs were covered in cuts and bruises. But somehow, nothing had killed her. Not the fall, not the impact, not the jungle beneath her. She was alive in a place where survival itself felt impossible. For a moment, she simply listened. No voices, no rescue teams, no engines overhead. Only insects, and somewhere deep within the rainforest, the sound of water. Juliane forced herself to stand. The jungle towered around her like another world. Massive trees blocked out most of the sunlight. The heat wrapped around her skin like steam. Everything alive seemed hidden inside the shadows, watching, waiting. At first, she searched for other survivors. She called out for her mother, again and again, but the rainforest answered with silence. Eventually, she found pieces of the wreckage scattered across the jungle floor. Twisted metal, broken luggage, fragments of seats, and bodies. The jungle had swallowed almost everything, but somehow it had spared her. Most people would have panicked, but Juliane knew something important about the rainforest. Her parents had spent years teaching her how quickly people die when they become lost inside it. Walking blindly through the jungle could kill you faster than staying still. So she remembered it. Eventually, rivers lead to people. That single thought became her lifeline. She found a small stream and began walking beside it. One step at a time. The heat was unbearable. Mosquitoes covered her skin constantly. Every movement drained what little energy she had left. At night, the jungle transformed. Sounds echoed through the darkness from every direction. Animals moved through the trees unseen. Insects screamed beneath the canopy. The rainforest never truly slept. Neither could she. Days passed. Hunger grew worse. She survived on almost nothing. Sometimes a few candies she found from the wreckage. Sometimes dirty water from the stream. Her wounds began to rot in the tropical heat. Maggots crawled inside one deep cut near her shoulder. Still, she kept walking because stopping inside the Amazon often means dying there, quietly, alone. The deeper she moved into the jungle, the more unreal everything became. She kept walking. She refused to give up. Not because she believed rescue was coming, but because forward was the only thing she had left. By the 10th day, Juliane could barely move. Her body was weak, dehydrated, infected. Then finally, she saw something unnatural beside the river. Small boat. Nearby stood a shelter used by local loggers. For the first time in days, proof that other human beings still existed. The workers who later found her could hardly believe what they were seeing. A teenage girl emerging alone from the Amazon rainforest, barely alive, covered in wounds. After falling from the sky, they gave her food, treated her injuries, and carried her to safety. Soon helicopters arrived. The jungle that nearly buried her finally released her. Out of everyone aboard the flight, Juliane was the only survivor. 17 years old. Alone in one of the deadliest environments on Earth. And somehow, still breathing. People later called it a miracle. Maybe it was, but survival is often stranger than miracles. Sometimes survival is knowledge. Sometimes stubbornness beyond reason itself. And sometimes it is simply the refusal to stop moving forward, even when the world has already decided you should be gone. Because on that Christmas Eve above the Amazon, the storm destroyed an airplane, the jungle consumed almost everything, and gravity pulled a young girl from the sky itself. But none of them could make her give up. Maybe that's what makes stories like Juliane stay with us, not because most of us will ever fall from the sky, or walk alone through the Amazon rainforest, but because sooner or later, everyone faces moments where continuing feels impossible, moments where fear grows louder than hope, where exhaustion convinces you to stop moving, where giving up begins to sound easier than fighting forward. And yet, Amel, human beings are capable of surviving far more than they believe. Sometimes strength is not loud. Sometimes it is not heroic. Sometimes it is simply taking one more step when every part of you wants to quit. This is the power of pain, where broken stories become unbreakable strength.